Question number 3, David Bennett.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Finance. How is the government's program to improve housing supply supporting a growing economy and macroeconomic stability?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, the issue of the housing market is proving to be one of the challenges for macroeconomic policy. Last week, Statistics New Zealand announced 26,000 building consents were issued in the year to September 2015, the highest number in 8 years, and double the number issued in 2011. So the supply of housing is growing about as fast as it ever has in New Zealand. But there is much more to do. Red tape around land use can affect growth, and elevated house prices increase the risks and the costs of a house price correction, affecting economic and financial stability. So we'll continue to work on growing the number of consents by working with the councils who actually make the decisions.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, David Bennett.
What progress has the government made in improving housing supply?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, probably the most important shift was passing the Special Housing Areas legislation, and there are now over 100 special housing areas and accords signed up with 8 councils. We're also now getting into growing the supply of housing on government land, both in Auckland, for instance, in Hobsonville, Tamaki, Weymouth, and more to come. We're continuing to reform the Resource Management Act to enable councils to make changes that they now all really want to make. They were initially sceptical about such changes, but now would prefer to have easier, quicker planning processes so they can accommodate growth.
Supplementary question, David Bennett.
What steps is the government taking to support first home buyers and ensure investors pay their fair share of tax?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, because it's a challenge for first home buyers to get into the market, earlier this year the government rolled out the Home Start scheme, a $420 million commitment which will help 90,000 Kiwis into their first homes over the next 5 years. With respect to investors, on the 1st of October, just a month ago, the government introduced a bright line 2-year rule to clarify the tax treatment of gains on the sale of residential property, excluding the family home. And earlier this week, on the 1st of November, the Reserve Bank introduced LVR rules for investors to reduce financial system risk. This may also help to moderate house price growth.
Supplementary question.
A supplementary question, David Bennett.
What other steps are being taken to improve housing affordability?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, probably one of the more important steps for the government has been to take part in the formation of the new Auckland Unitary Plan. So while Unified Auckland Council has been in place for some years, they are still technically working off the plans of the previous 7 or 8 councils. So the government has been a significant submitter to the independent hearings panel, and we will be taking a close look at their plan when they report back to ensure that the plan allows for the kind of growth that is forecast for Auckland.
Question number 4, Chris Hipkins.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker.